Welcome everyone to this webinar on the summer research experience placements. My name is Fragiskos Filipeos and I'm the Deputy Director for the Southeast Network for Social Sciences. I'm also responsible for running the scheme together with the supervisors of the project. So I will be your first point of contact when it comes to sense matters, and I will also be informally mentoring those of you that will be successful and will be joining the scheme over the summer. Today's session is going to be recorded. We will be putting the information on the website together with the recording of the video and the slides of the presentation. So should you wish to revisit it, you will have the opportunity to do so at your own leisure. I will be providing some information here which you might find useful when it comes to drafting your personal statement, for example, for the application, so on and so forth. If you wish to ask questions, and that's the purpose of today's session as well, is to give you the opportunity to ask questions, please either raise your hand and you can come on mic, or use the chat function. That's absolutely fine for me. You can use the chat function to put questions, and depending on the question, I might decide to stop there and take it as it comes in, or put it at the end. On this first slide, some of you, I know, you have already contacted me. You can find my address, my email address, which is dep.director@sense-dtp.ac.uk. Should you have any questions in between now and the application deadline, I will be happy to respond to them. If I'm out of office, you will get an out of office, and you should be expecting a date when I return. I usually respond to emails within 48 hours, unless I've got a very busy schedule, but I always have out of office if there is a time of the year that things get busier than normal. So let's start by telling you a bit about what is it. So in essence, what this is an opportunity to work with an established supervisor on a research project that they have provided over the summer of 2022. We're going to be offering 8 summer research placements this summer, well, for this summer and for next summer, and all these are funded by an organization called ESRC. And ESRC is the Economic and Social Research Council, is the organization that funds effectively any research in the UK around economic and social issues. As I said, 4 placements will be offered the summer of 2022, and an additional 4 over the summer of 2023. We'll have an additional competition next year. So should you wish to reconsider, or if you're unsuccessful this year, there's always going to be an opportunity next year to join the scheme as well. Just a couple of points talking about ESRC and SENSE. SENSE, as I mentioned, stands for Southeast Network for Social Sciences. It's a what is called doctoral training partnership. So we are an organization that we receive funding from the ESRC. We have a grant which is approximately just over £2 million a year, and we work with 10 universities across the Southeast. So these universities are University of East Anglia, University of Essex, University of Kent, University of Sussex, University of Surrey, Goldsmiths University London, City University London, University of Roehampton, Royal Holloway University of London, and Reading University. And we work with those 10 universities to provide funded doctoral scholarships. Now, part of our role is to also fund master studies. So SENSE offers annually what is also what we call a 1+3. So the 1+3s are scholarships for students that come straight from their undergraduates. They want to get training on research methods through a master's, and then continue doing the PhD. So it's for those that you have aspirations to get a research degree. And here it's given me the opportunity also to mention that nowadays, studying towards a PhD doesn't automatically mean that you will be following an academic career. This is what it used to be in the past. Most people with PhDs, pursuing PhDs, would focus on getting into an academic career. In reality, things have changed a lot, and a lot of people that basically have PhDs go and work for other organizations that have significant research branches or research groups. And so it's not simply a qualification that will open you doors into the academia, but it's a qualification that will open you a number of different doors, even in the business sector, even in corporates. So the timeline for this scheme, and I'll come into a minute a bit more about what the scheme is all about and why ESRC has decided to do this one, is we have gone through already the first phase. So the first 3 boxes was the supervisor phase. We've asked supervisors from the 10 institutions to basically send us proposals, send us projects that they feel would be applicable for undergraduate students, and we've asked them to tell us, why this project is going to be applicable for an undergraduate student, what kind of support they would be offering, what kind of mentoring they would be offering, what kind of training opportunities. And we had a panel that selected the top 4, and we started advertising informally these studentships on the 4th of April. Today, together with the launch of this webinar, we will be having the website ready. I'll show you the website later in the presentation, where you will be able to find all the information on the different projects. You will be able to find the link to the application form. I'll talk about the application again a bit later on. And then also you will be able to find additional information about SENS, all the opportunities we offer, so you get a sense of what we do as an organization. The deadline for the student submission is 29th of April, midday, noon. And that is going to be followed by what we call a selection process of students, where supervisors, together with me and a couple of other members from SENS, will be evaluating the applications we receive. We will be reviewing them. We will be having interviews with potential candidates with a view to appoint the best. And then, of course, that individual can start the project anytime after the 15th of June. And depending on the duration of the project, it will last for 6 up to 8 weeks. What is the philosophy of the scheme? Now, the philosophy of the scheme has at its core what we call the widening participation. And one of the things which we are big ambassadors at SENS is to generate opportunities for students that come from underrepresented backgrounds, as we call them, students that would not necessarily think about or have the ambition to study towards a PhD. And as part of that, SENS has a widening participation strategy. We have a number of what we call ring-fence scholarships for students that come straight from their undergraduate studies, going on to study towards a master's and then a PhD. And we do that because students from underrepresented backgrounds tend to come with more financial difficulties. So these are usually the students that cannot afford to study towards a master's. And in a lot of cases, if you don't have a master's, it's going to be very difficult to study towards a PhD. So we try to break down those barriers, and we're really passionate about it. I'm the one chairing the widening participation group. We have designed a strategy. We have produced 2 reports so far, and you can find those reports on the website. We call them ARISE reports, looking at the way our strategy is helping students from underrepresented backgrounds comes on board. And we have, in a certain degree, influenced as well ESRC's thinking of this. So we want to give the opportunity, and ESRC wants to give the opportunity from students from diverse backgrounds to move into postgraduate training and careers in research. And an interesting way of doing that is by kind of getting you to aspire about those studies, getting you to think about, what is the research experience? What does it mean to do research? What is it to do a PhD? How does it feel like? So they gave us money to pilot what we call the summer research experience placements. And we focus on undergraduates coming from underrepresented backgrounds, and I'll explain a bit more about what we define as underrepresented background to experience this research. So you will be becoming, for the duration of your placements, you will be becoming an employee of the host organization. You will be getting an amount of money. Usually, this is probably about 2,000 to 3,000 for the 6 to 8 weeks. So a relatively good amount of money to earn over the summer. And also we have some small pots of money in the scheme for covering, for example, travel expenses. You might come from universities that are not necessarily located within SENS, or you might come from one SENS university and you want to undertake a placement scheme in another. You might be required to do a few trips over that period to do interviews, for example. So we will be covering those expenses for you in order to make sure that the only thing you need to worry about is putting your best self forward to conduct the research that the supervisor wants you to conduct. Now, what is eligible students? Who are the eligible students? So the student that applies for this scheme must be in the middle years of their first degree. So final, at the end of their first year or at the end of their second year, they cannot have finished their studies. So it will either have to be at the end of your first year, or you need to be at the end of your first year or at the end of your second year. And you need to come from an underrepresented group. Areas of low higher education participation, areas of low household income, or areas of low socioeconomic status, Black, Asian, and minority ethnic students, mature students, disabled students, students who are caregivers. So it covers quite a wide range of students from underrepresented backgrounds. And usually these are the students that don't have the same opportunities as everyone else to study towards masters and then to study towards PhD. So we hope that if we are able to redivert your aspirations, to be able to do that. I think that's an interesting question there. Sorry, I'm seeing my other screen. Gap year students are eligible. My understanding is yes. If you're on a gap year, that should be absolutely fine, as long as you have some student status with the university, and you can prove that. And of course, as long as you come from one of those underrepresented groups. Now, in the application form, we're not asking you to provide us with details of the underrepresentation, but we ask you to confirm according to your self-evaluation. So ESRC has been relatively flexible. We ask you for confirmation that you identify as coming from one of those groups. And that is something that we can explore further down the line. Perhaps when it comes to the interviews, we might ask you for some evidence of that. But generally, we try to have a very flexible approach to that in order to have the wider possible range of students applying. Now, we have used a software called Qualtrics for the application. It's all online. It's an application that shouldn't take you more than half an hour to put together. I'll revisit the application later on. I'll show you the application and how it looks like. But what is really important to say here is to remind you that the deadline for Qualtrics is 12 o'clock midday on 29th of April 2022. So I'll come back to the application after I finish talking a bit about the scheme, just to show you how it looks like and how quickly and easy it is to fill it. So the form has 4 sections. The first section asks you your personal details, so your name, your surname, the university you're applying for, and your email address. Then in the second section, we're asking you to identify which project you're applying for and whether you want to do it on full-time basis or part-time basis. Part-time basis is also available. for those students that don't want to do something on a full time. And then, of course, the third section is the core section of the application. So you will see, and you will see it in live when we visit the application. We want you to write a personal statement. The personal statement, we give you a maximum of 500 words, is basically asking you to address the following questions. Why are you applying for this particular SENS ESRC funded placement? So you might want to think about, for example, how this might fit with your aspirations towards a PhD or aspirations towards a master's. You might want to say, I'm motivated because I want to experience research, or I'm motivated because, you know, I've really found this project intriguing. And a lot of the projects, there are 4 projects that I'll show you in a minute. They have this very interesting aspect of social elements. They are what we would call transformational projects, projects that have can make a real impact from a social perspective. So one of the reasons why you apply for these projects might be that, you know, it's an area that you want to explore further, you're intrigued by the project and you want to do something. We ask you also why you think you're well suited for this project, why you think you can work with this specific supervisor. Some cases might be that you have prior encounters with that supervisor, or you know someone that knows that supervisor. Explain your understanding of the potential contribution the project is expected to make, and the potential impact outside the academia. You might think, oh, I've got some connections that might benefit from this project. Perhaps I can bring them on board. Perhaps I can discuss to them about it, and tell us, you know, how you think you're going to be working with the supervisor in order to enhance as much as possible the project, and also describe how well prepared you are. So, for example, you might have done some training, you might have done some research methods, you might have written an assignment that is relevant for this particular project. Tell us all about that. And if you have, of course, some professional experience, again, tell us. It's a very open application. It's a very open personal statement. It's a maximum of 500 words. On the Qualtrics survey, on the application, we also provide you the opportunity, if you don't want to type in that box, you can always copy paste in that box, but we also give you the opportunity if you want to upload the document, and you can upload that document to effectively tell us why. So exactly answering these particular questions, instead of simply typing them, you can just upload a Word document that has all that. And the last section is asking whether you have specifically any professional experience, and tell us whether you've got some professional experience that might be relevant for this project. We will be, as I said, shortlisting and evaluating candidates, and we use kind of 3 sets of criteria. Your suitability. So you might be studying for this particular subject area, you might have written assignments for that particular area, something like that. Then, you know, your preparedness, and how prepared you are for this project. And obviously here you're competing against other students like you. So nobody's going to be 100% prepared. Nobody's going to know everything about the project. It's more about the way you present yourselves and the way you present your case to the academic supervisor and to the selection panel. And of course, you know, the training needs. Can we identify someone who has done some training already in terms of the project, and can we basically use that prior training to give them a head start? And that candidate might have, again, a small advantage over someone else who hasn't done any training in the past, or their degree doesn't contain any element of training. So while we want to give opportunities out, we also want to make sure that, you know, whoever takes these opportunities are well prepared. We will be supporting the successful candidates from our side. So There are three mechanisms for the support outside, of course, the supervisory team and the supervisor. The first thing is we will be planning, we're planning to run a workshop on research methods. That workshop will be virtual, so you don't have to physically travel anywhere. It will be done just before the beginning of some of those projects, and it will cover some basic research methods to give you a head start for talking to that supervisor. Every single one of you will be informally mentored by myself. So I will be the first person that you can come to if there are any issues, if you want to get advice, if you want to just have a chat about the project, and then, you know, we can set that meeting up. And you will be also be supported through current PhD students. So we've got a number of PhD students that currently come from underrepresented backgrounds, and we will be allocating them as mentors to you. So you will have the friendly face there, someone that is going through that process right now at the doctoral level, and they will be able to help you and support you in conducting that research. And of course, I think the ESRC is also planning to create what we call a cohort of some research experience placement students. So you will be getting the opportunity to meet other students from other institutions. So SENS has received 8 of those. The other 4 organizations that have received funding are London School of Economics, Oxford, Cambridge, and the White Rose Doctoral Training Partnership, which is a training partnership that includes Sheffield, Manchester, and Liverpool. So you're going to be in very good company, and ESRC will try to create a cohort from students that have participated in all the doctoral training partnerships, and perhaps at the moment ESRC is also considering whether a physical event might be appropriate sometime over the summer. From our perspective at SENS, you will get access to all our events. You will get an invitation. We organize a summer conference where all our PhD students are presenting. We've got top speakers. This year's summer conference will be hosted by the University of Surrey, and it's going to be on artificial intelligence and the role artificial intelligence has to play on in social sciences. So you will be receiving an invitation for the conference, and we will be covering your expenses to attend that. All this information, together with a lot of information around SENS, so you can basically get a feel of what we do, our interaction with the outside world. We've got a very interesting part of the website, which is around collaborative partnerships. So collaboration with organizations outside the academia that offer us placements. You will be able to see some of our videos on YouTube. We've got a dedicated YouTube channel, you know, the director talking about SENS, pictures from previous conferences that we have organized. Unfortunately, we were not able to have any conferences the last 2 years face-to-face because of COVID-19. So this year's conference, the Surrey one, we're going to be returning back to face-to-face, and we're all excited about it because we have been missing this element of networking. So there is the website, so you can visit simply sensdtp.ac.uk, but we have now also a dedicated website for the summer placements. The link is there. There you will be able to find after today, and I know the rest of the core team is working at the moment on populating that website. I've just given the go-ahead to do that. You will be able to find a description of all available projects and all available placements. You will be able to find the link to the application, detailed guidance on the application process, and the recording of this seminar, of this webinar, and in future webinars. So if you wanted to visit the website, this is the website of the summer research placements, and you will see here underneath, we will be putting the information, as I said, at the end of today. It should be all here. You will be finding the 4 projects, the link to the application, and the detailed guidance here. And this is, as I said, the generic website of Sense. So as I mentioned, we've got a YouTube channel, we've got a journal that our students are producing. You can see here we've got other resources. This is the reports I've mentioned around widening participation, the 2RIs report, so on and so forth. So before I conclude, I want to go back and basically show you the application. So it's on this link. And that link will take you to this website. So this is the preamble, a bit about what this is all about, the project and the projects. Very straightforward. We will be asking you to put your name in. Your university. My affiliation is at the University of East Anglia. And which is your current degree. Once you put that, we ask you to confirm that you meet the eligibility criteria. The definition you see here in terms of underrepresented groups comes from the Office for Students Guidance. So we've got further information there. And then we've got the 4 proposals, which actually have 5 scholarships attached to them. The first one, unaccounted aspects of digital technologies used in accounting firms, is from a colleague of mine within the University of East Anglia's Business School, Norwich Business School, Pinar. And Pinar is basically has also access to organizations, and she will be helping the successful students to tap into links with organizations. We've got another one from University of East Anglia in the education group from Spiros Themelis, learning and enacting emergent forms of youth civic engagement, a qualitative scoping study. They will be asking you to do interviews with young participants, looking at the civic engagement and how learning can kind of increase that engagement. You see there are 2 projects from the University of Kent, the business school there, Carola. It's in organization psychology, Carola. Breaking Think Manager, Think Male associations, exploring the process that make role models successful. There are 2 different projects there with 2 different descriptions. And then a big role for small fish in a more sustainable campus food strategy from the University of East Anglia, from my colleague Rosalind Bark. So you will also see that the projects that we've selected, they don't only have this kind of academic element, but they also are what we would call projects that might have a real impact on everyday life, and projects which are directly relevant to concepts of sustainability, the environment, so on and so forth. So it's really, from my perspective, when I was reading and reviewing some of the projects and selecting these ones, basically I was really excited about, you know, what a student could do with them. So here you will be asked to basically select one of those projects, and here is where you put the information. As I said, you've got 3 options. You either type it in here, you can see you've got the remaining characters. You can copy and paste into the box from Word or any other application, or you can basically drop files or click there to upload a Word file with your personal statement. It tells you whether you want to do it on a full-time or part-time basis, and it asks you whether you've got any professional work experience. There is no advantage or disadvantage. If you have some professional work experience that you feel might have provided some training on that, you can click yes, provide details. And that takes you to the final bit of the application, which is basically asking you to submit. And once you click this one, tick this one and push the arrow, you will get this confirmatory web page where you can actually download also the PDF with your responses. So you will see what you have responded, and effectively you can download the PDF with all those responses, and you can then close that window, and the application is submitted. That's all I had to say from my side. I'm more than happy to take questions if there are any other questions from you. Otherwise, I will be looking forward to receiving your applications. If you've got something that you want to ask in private, you could always email me. I would be more than happy to have quick chats with individuals that are interested. From our perspective, we will do anything possible to effectively support students. We would like to give the opportunity to as wide range of students as possible to experience that element of conducting research over the summer, whilst at the same time receiving, a small amount of money as a stipend that can help them towards, some nice holidays or something like that. I'm happy to take questions.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for your presentation. It's very clear. I just have two little questions. The first one is if the application is successful, the research, where's the location? Should we travel to Kent or?
So the agreement we have with supervisors, especially for students who are based away, so they're not effectively based in Canterbury or the neighboring cities, is that there could be an element of remote working. I think with technology over the last 2 years, we have all gone into working from home. I'm in my home office at the moment. As you could probably tell, I'm not in my university office. So there will be an element of remote working. In the funding, there will be small pots of money if there are cases where, for example, it is required to travel to Kent to meet the supervisor for a meeting, for example. That is costs that we will expenditure that we will be covering.
Okay, got it. So it's kind of so currently it is planned to be a remote working, but if some chances we can travel to meet the supervisor in person. Yeah, perfect. And the second question is kind of personal. It's kind of because I saw you have to meet some requirements to apply it. So I want to make sure if I'm eligible. So I'm a final year student right now, but I'm going to take a gap year. So I'm not sure if I'm eligible.
So that means that your graduation will not be until the next summer. Yes.
So I will graduate this summer, but I didn't.
So if you graduate this summer, you won't be eligible, because we want those students who have a current status.
Okay, got it.
So my understanding was that you were going to take a gap year later on. So if you don't have the issue there is that students under this scheme will will have to be employees of the university, so they need to have an active student status.
Okay.
So I'm afraid that means that you are not eligible.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
We've got a couple of yes. So Tianri, there is no cost for the research that you need to pay. The supervisors have submitted a proposal. The proposal covers your stipend, which, as I said, it's anything between £2,000 to £3,000. If, for example, there are cases where the students need to travel to do interviews for participants, those costs, those expenditures will be covered from the placement scheme. So we don't expect you to put not even a single penny towards this research. It's all going to be covered for you, including then the salary. Now, in terms of the research be published, if it's of publishable level, the answer is yes. That's something that you will then be discussing with your supervisor, whether it's a project that might worthwhile, considering publication. Also, something that I didn't mention, this is a very good opportunity if you are passionate about one of these areas to actually meet and work with the supervisor. And especially if you are finishing your second year and you're moving into your third year next year, maintain that relationship and perhaps consider whether you apply for a scholarship. So the scholarship deadline, we still have one more round of scholarships under the current scheme. The deadline is usually in January. One of the most challenging tasks for a lot of students is identifying an appropriate supervisor and an appropriate topic. In your case, you will have done that already. You will have a topic, you will have the supervisor, so you can basically consider whether you establish that relationship and apply for that. No, the ethics application have not been completed for these projects. So it's very likely that you might be gaining experience with completing ethics applications as well, especially for those projects that will have interaction with human participants, Jade. It's highly likely. There is, I think, one potential case where there might be an overall umbrella of ethics, and that might be some of those projects are already active projects for the supervisors. But if there are additional interactions, and if I remember correctly, the description of all projects, there will be additional interactions, then you will have to apply through the ethics procedure or at each and every university where the project is based. The aim here is to give you the opportunity to build as many skills as possible over the summer, with a view to either utilize them further down the line if you want to go and work. So this is, a very good thing for your CV. It's not simply a line on your CV, is more than that, because you can then discuss all the skills. And of course, being participants on that skill, on that placement, and having me as your informal mentor means that you can then come back to me as well as the supervisors for reference letters. Yes. So once what we will do is we will be shortlisting after the application closes, and we will be organizing virtual, I think, interviews with candidates. Even if we have only a single application for a project, we will still be doing an interview with the candidate, just to make sure that the supervisory team and the candidate, they're both happy to work together. And we will be giving you plenty of time, and we will be very accommodating in terms of when we conduct the interviews. We appreciate May is sometimes a busy time of the year for everyone, with potentially exams, coursework, assignments, and everything like that. We don't we don't want this to be, you know, another pressure on you and your time. We want this to be a true opportunity. Right. If there are no other questions, as I said, if anything, the website will probably go live today. Apologies for that delay, but the core team has been really, really busy because we have just finished this year's competition. So we're just letting we're making about 50 people very happy, telling them that they're going to be receiving a scholarship from us. So we're in the process of sending out those emails and communicating with them, but hopefully we will have it done by the end of today. And that means that you can then start thinking about your application, start thinking about putting together your personal statement, and of course, you can always come back with any questions. So the email was in the initial slide, but I can always put it in the chat because that's going to be easier for everyone. So you've got my email there in the chat. And you can basically, the email, of course, is on the website as well. So it's on the Sense website if you want to visit that and pick it up from there. If there are no more questions, I'd like to thank you for your time and just to wish you all the best for the Easter break, and also wish you good luck with your applications and hoping to be able to see you again when we do the interviews. Thank you very much for your time.